Are you ready to redefine what it means to thrive at any age? Welcome to Age is Just a Number with BJ and Ruth. In your 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond, you deserve to live your best life. Say goodbye to preconceived notions and let's shatter those stereotypes together. Get ready to own your vitality because age, well, that's just a number.
Hey everybody, it's BJ.
And Ruth.
And we're back talking all things health and fitness. And you know what, today, Ruth, we're going to talk about the truth about creatine.
Creatine.
Yeah.
Great supplement.
And we want to talk about the truth behind it and about it and throw out some of the myths that have been talked about creatine and really get to the brass tacks, nuts and bolts of what about creatine, should you be taking creatine, what's the value of it, all of those things.
And a lot of people know what creatine is, and if you don't know what creatine is, this is a good episode for you to stay tuned and watch.
Yeah, for sure. So let's get right into it. So creatine, what about it? Well, let's just do a little bit background. So creatine's been around for, I don't know, I probably remember taking it in the 90s, late 90s probably at some point. And it was pretty awful back then too. Every supplement that you drank in any way was awful in the 90s, just so you know. For those of you that weren't there, you have protein powder now and people are like, oh, this doesn't taste good. I was like, no, we had protein powder and it was like drinking sand.
Yeah.
It was just awful. You plugged your nose and just did it. So
you downed it because it was good for you, not because it tasted good.
Yeah, right? So, okay, let's talk about that with creatine. So creatine is the most studied supplement, period. Okay? And there have been no negative effects found from it. So there was this thing about, it affects your kidneys. No, it does not affect your kidneys. Oh, it causes hair loss. No, it does not cause hair loss. Okay? So does it cause bloating? No, it doesn't cause bloating. Now, one thing I will say, depending on the individual, for some people, if you take it, I'll use me as an example. If I take creatine just with water, my stomach isn't good with that.
Yeah, you have to find out what works best for you.
Right.
I know for me, when I started bodybuilding, there was always this creatine, as a woman, always going to make you bloat. And then they actually came out with this specific line geared towards women where it would prevent the bloat. But I did that maybe once or twice, and then when I went back to the regular creatine, I didn't notice a bloat.
So as far as it goes, I have my creatine with my protein shake after I work out.
And I would split mine up. So I would take half before and half after.
And I'm kind of trying that right now to see, but I'm not sure what I think of it yet. So anyway, the point is there are no side effects. However, there may be some issues with your stomach based on how you take it, whether it's just with water. I remember at one time because I didn't think it would make a difference, I just would take it by the spoonful.
Ew.
So my stomach,
crazy.
Yeah. So my stomach wasn't very good about that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be either.
Yeah. So for me, that's the way I do it when it comes to consuming creatine.
And okay? I would typically not put it in my in water. I would typically put it in my shake.
Right.
So I'd have it with a protein source.
Yeah, and so that's better for me now as well, that I found out. Okay, so what is creatine? Well, your body stores, so first of all, your body produces creatine in the liver and the kidneys. However, the amount of creatine that your body let's just put it this way, your body doesn't produce enough to get the metabolic results that we're talking about, okay?
So we supplement.
Right, because creatine also, we get it in red meat, we get it in fish and chicken.
I was going to say it's an amino acid found in food, but we don't get enough of it, so that's why we typically supplement.
The amount of food that we would have to consume is pretty excessive.
Right, which is going against what we're trying to do.
to get the supplementation value. So, okay, let's talk about what does your body do. Our bodies store creatine as creatine phosphate in the muscles. And then when we exert our muscles or exert force, our body converts that creatine phosphate into ATP, which is the fuel that our body burns, and then obviously uses it up. And then now when we supplement with creatine, there's going to be more in the muscles, more stored in the muscles, and therefore you're able to do more is the bottom line.
Right.
Because ATP is what powers all the metabolic functions of our body.
Right.
Okay. So that's how it works in general. All right. Now, as far as supplementation goes, we've said this many times. If you're going to get going in a new plan of any kind of supplementation, you're probably best served to talk to your doctor if there are any pre-existing health conditions, if there are any pre-existing health issues. Don't guess, don't DIY your health.
No, go
right?
see your doctor and just get that green light that you're okay.
Yeah, if there's any pre-existing issues, you want to deal with those, okay? But that being said, creatine is probably one of the most important supplements for men and women in their 40s and 50s and 60s as we go on, especially as we age. And here's the other one. If you're watching this and you're vegan or you're a vegetarian, hugely beneficial for you and for your muscles and muscle growth. Mm-hmm. And that we're going to talk about the benefits of creatine. But here's the other thing, ladies, you have 70 to 80% less creatine in your system than men do. Mm-hmm. So
we do.
Right. So supplementation is that much more valuable for women. And the other thing about women, when they take creatine, in general, they don't gain a whole bunch of weight. They're going to get, your muscles are going to fill up a little bit with water.
Yeah.
Right? But it'll be marginal weight gain from creatine for women. And it's mostly going to be, again, the muscles are going to fill up with water. That's a good thing.
It's a good thing, even though you might feel bloated because you have more water, but it's a good thing.
And you won't look bloated.
You won't look bloated, no.
Yeah. So, okay. So that's the basics of creatine. Is it important? Absolutely. Like I said, I think we would probably agree it's probably one of the most significant supplements that you can be, significant supplement, say that 3 times fast.
No, thank you.
That you can be taking and should be taking, especially in your 40s, 50s, 60s, and especially women.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about what are the benefits for creatine. And you're going to be surprised to find out that strength, power, muscle building, all of that is really just the tip of the iceberg. Mm-hmm. Okay? But so let's start with that part of it first. So number 1, creatine helps increase strength and power. Why? Because your body can just do more work. This is also actually it's number 3, but I'm going to call it number 2.
He's not following his list.
It improves, because creatine improves muscle mass and body composition and bone density, okay? So there was a meta-analysis of 13 studies that they went through and broke down of adults over 50 years old, okay? So that's us, actually, believe it or not. Are you ordering off the seniors menu yet?
Not yet. This is the last episode I'll be filming as a 54-year-old, because next week I will be a 55-year-old.
All right, then.
There you go.
Okay. So what they found of the... I'm not 55 for a long time. So what they found in this meta study is of these adults over 50, that there was a significant increase in muscle mass and bone density for those that took creatine versus those that did creatine and resistance versus those that did just the resistance training.
Yeah.
So it will improve your muscle mass and your body composition and your bone density. Those are all significant issues as we age if we aren't doing something about it, right? Okay, so number 3, creatine helps you work out harder and not fatigue as quickly. Right? So there was a 10-week study done, and in that study, there were men and women, and it found that women saw a 15% increase in athletic performance, and they took creatine, obviously. The men only saw a 6% increase, but there was an increase nonetheless. So I say that again, that this is these are important numbers, especially when we talk about women and women as they age.
As we age, yeah.
Because I think that's one of the things too, as women age, you're more likely to go for a walk than go to the gym. Just mindset, right?
Mindset, yeah.
That's more the way that you usually, or women are more inclined to maybe do more cardio work, more kind of that kind of thing versus actually going to the gym and putting your body under strain.
Very true. Yeah.
Right? So, okay, now here's a really good one. Number 4, creatine helps brain function.
Which, how many of us go through that memory fog, menopause? Yeah. Our hormones are all out of whack, and then it's that memory fog. Yeah.
Yeah, so specifically, it helps brain function when we're under stress or when we have lack of sleep.
What's stress? Who has stress?
Right?
Who has stress?
And you think about this, just the world that we live in, we're so surrounded all the time, especially in North America. It was interesting, I heard somebody talking about where they were in Europe, and when they came back, they said, there's just a different pace of lifestyle there versus
North America
here.
Versus Europe. Yeah, I've heard that.
Where it's not go all the time there, right?
Yeah.
So, so for sure, obviously we are in a stressful society. Now, if we have a stress issue, creatine alone isn't going to help it.
No.
We need to learn how to manage stress.
Manage our stress. Maybe that's another episode.
Yeah, that's probably a
episode.
Different episode where we talk about stress management and dealing with sleep. We've talked a lot about sleep, so you can go back and look at any of those sleep issues. So, okay, let's continue on. Number 5, creatine is anti-inflammatory.
Which is great.
Yeah, so that means arthritis. That means joint pain.
Yeah, joint pain.
It's been seen to improve headaches. It's quite far-reaching what the benefits are of creatine.
Yeah.
So, okay, number 6, it has a positive effect on the immune system. So,
which is also good.
Right, which boosts your immune system. So obviously these are all important things, especially if we're talking about as we age.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, this is a really good one, especially talking about aging. Creatine helps our skin and protects our skin from sun exposure, UV exposure, and also improves skin elasticity and skin firmness.
Which changes as we age, so that is a really good thing to remember.
Yeah. Now, one thing about that part of it, that was also creatine in a cream that was applied, topically.
Right.
So, but what does all of that mean? When we put all of those things together, well, it means that this is a supplement that you should seriously consider taking. It's probably one of the most beneficial things that you're going to take in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, 70s, and on and on and on. It's also cost effective. So in general, creatine is not a super expensive supplement.
Nope.
And one thing, to keep in mind, creatine monohydrate, that's it. You don't need to get the latest, greatest of everything as far as the latest creatine version. Creatine monohydrate will be just fine. Now, if you have a stomach issue with that, you may need to get a more refined version or something, but like we talked about in the beginning, you need to figure out what that part looks like.
For you, yeah.
And if you need to talk to
it's just if you haven't been using it or adding it in, you might want to think about adding it to your daily.
Yeah, and so here's the other thing is basically no loading is required for creatine. You can consume 5 grams of creatine a day for any extended period of time. In all the studies that we see, there's not a place where they had to stop taking the creatine.
Right.
And if you do stop taking creatine, it's roughly about 6 weeks for it all to get filtered out of your body.
And a lot of people say, when do I take it? And so I think it becomes a personal choice. Some people take it pre-workout. Some people take it during their workout. Some people take it after, post-workout. Yeah. Me personally, I would take that 5 grams and do half pre-workout and half post-workout. But it's personal. Right.
And I I do it after the workout.
Yeah,
my workout.
Just personal.
But super, super valuable supplement that will help you, as we say on this channel, age more gracefully.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us today. If you haven't, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you haven't, you can catch us on Spotify, Apple Play, Podbean. We're on those channels as well, and you can take us with you that way wherever you're going. And please, if you have maybe some feedback for us about creatine and your use of creatine or the benefits that you've seen, put it in the comments. I think it's great for us, but it's also great for everybody else that's part of this community that we're building. So.
Yeah, and also if you have any questions about what we've been talking about today, put them in there as well.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. See you next time.
Bye.